Beneath the waves, ancient powers move through the darkness. For centuries, every culture living by the sea has told stories of legendary guardians, beings born from myth and fear that patrol the deepest waters. These entities are far more than simple monsters. They are the ocean given a face and a will, explaining its mysteries and enforcing its laws. By the end of this journey, you will know the origins and powers of 25 of these incredible beings, from primordial serpents to shape-shifting prophets. We will uncover why a dragon might be responsible for an eclipse, and what happens when sailors are challenged to a poetic duel for their very survival. Which of these ancient guardians do you think still watches the sea today? These stories gave the ocean a voice. When a sudden squall overturned a boat or a mysterious calm stranded a vessel for days, our ancestors saw more than random weather. They saw intention, a guardian's wrath for a broken vow, or perhaps its sorrow for a life lost too soon. This personification of the sea's raw power helped sailors and coastal villages make sense of the unpredictable. A whirlpool wasn't just a current, it was the breath of a great beast. The eerie stillness that fell over the water was not an absence of wind, but the presence of a watching god. These narratives became a vital framework for survival, encoding critical knowledge about safe routes, seasonal changes, and respectful conduct into memorable, cautionary tales. The Mediterranean cultures, living under a blazing sun, told of gods who commanded lightning and waves with a flick of a trident, reflecting a world where power was direct and absolute. In the cold, mist-shrouded fjords of the north, the guardians took on a different form, becoming immense serpents like the Jörmungandr, whose coiled body could encircle the earth. These beings mirrored their environment, fierce and enduring, teaching lessons about resilience in the face of an unforgiving world. Every legend, from the Polynesian shark gods to the dragon kings of the East, served a dual purpose. They explained the unexplainable while instilling a necessary humility, a reminder that human ambition is a small boat on a very old, very deep sea. This deep-seated need to find a face in the waves reveals a universal truth about humanity. We are storytellers, and through these myths, we did not just fear the ocean, we began to communicate with it. Our journey into the depths begins with one of the most ancient and widespread of all sea guardians, a being known by many names but feared for one singular, world-ending power. Its immense form was said to be armored with scales so tightly fitted that not even light could pass between them. This was no simple sea monster, but a concept given flesh, the living embodiment of the untamable abyss. Ancient texts describe its breath as a force that could make the deep seas boil, a terrifying display of power that framed the ocean not as a resource, but as a realm of pure, elemental chaos. The Leviathan's role was cosmic, a necessary counterbalance to the ordered world of land. It was often placed in opposition to another primordial being, the behemoth, a creature of the earth. Their symbolic struggle represented the fundamental balance between the chaotic sea and the stable ground, a duality that defined the ancient world view. This was a guardian that did not simply patrol the waters, it was the water's deepest, most furious will. As these stories traveled across continents and through centuries, the Leviathan's image shifted. In the folklore of European sailors, its biblical grandeur condensed into a more immediate, tangible terror, the sea dragon that could swallow a ship whole with a single gulp. This version served as the ultimate cautionary tale for any who dared to venture too far from shore, a stark reminder of the existential dangers lurking in the unexplored blue. The Leviathan's enduring legacy is that it gave a name to the formless dread the open ocean could inspire. Even today, we use its name to describe anything of immense and uncontrollable power, proving that some shadows never truly leave the deep. While the Leviathan represented a formless chaos, the Norse envisioned a guardian of immense and deliberate design. Jörmungandr, the world serpent, did not merely inhabit the ocean, it defined its very boundaries. Cast into the sea by Odin himself, this child of Loki grew to such an impossible size that it could wrap its colossal body around the entire world, its tail held firmly in its mouth. This circular form created a powerful symbol of a cycle with no beginning and no end, a perfect representation of the sea's timeless and inescapable nature. Its slow, rhythmic breathing was not just a biological function, but the very pulse of the deep, and when it stirred from its slumber, the earth itself would tremble, sending tidal waves crashing against the shores. This was a guardian whose existence was fundamentally intertwined with the fate of all things. Its most legendary tale involves a fishing trip that nearly reshaped the cosmos. The thunder god Thor, determined to prove his strength, baited a great hook with the head of an ox and cast his line into the sea. He did not catch a fish. He hooked the world serpent. The subsequent struggle was a moment of pure primal tension, as Thor strained to haul the beast from the water, his feet breaking through the planks of the boat and pushing into the seabed below. Just as the serpent's terrifying head broke the surface, a companion, seized by fear, cut the line, allowing Jörmungandr to sink back into the abyss. This story is far more than a simple hero myth. It is a profound lesson in humility. It illustrates that even the mightiest of the gods could not truly conquer the sea, only briefly challenge it. The serpent's ultimate purpose is tied to Ragnarök, the twilight of the gods, where it is fated to rise from the ocean for a final, devastating battle with Thor. This prophecy cements Jörmungandr's role not as a mindless monster, but as an essential agent of cosmic change, a force of necessary destruction that clears the way for a new world to be born. The world serpent teaches that the deepest waters hold powers that even deities must respect, forces that are cyclical, inevitable, and integral to the balance of everything. From the cosmic serpent of the Norse sagas, we descend into a more tangible, visceral terror born from the cold northern seas. The Kraken was not a god or a symbol of the apocalypse, but a hunter of immense and immediate physical presence. Norwegian sailors spoke of it in hushed tones, describing a beast so vast that its body could be mistaken for a chain of small, rocky islands. The true horror began when those islands began to move. Its long, powerful arms were said to be capable of reaching the very top of a ship's mast, coiling around the wooden hull with an unstoppable grip. When the creature decided to return to the depths, its sudden descent would create a violent churn in the water, a whirlpool powerful enough to drag a galleon and all its crew down into a watery grave. This was a guardian that enforced a simple, brutal law that the open ocean was its exclusive domain. The legend likely sprung from the very real but rarely seen giant squid. For a sailor in the Age of Sail, a glimpse of those immense tentacles breaking the surface in the fog would have been a sight transformed by fear and isolation into something truly mythological. The stories grew with each telling, the creature's size and power magnified by the collective anxiety of those who worked upon an unpredictable and often hostile sea. The Kraken became the ultimate expression of the unknown predator, a biological mystery that fueled maritime superstition for centuries. It served as a permanent caution, a reminder that human courage and curiosity have their limits, and that some shadows in the deep are best left undisturbed. The Kraken was a force of nature, but the Greek guardian Cetus was a messenger of the gods. Its legend begins not in the deep ocean, but with a queen's pride. Cassiopeia of Ethiopia boasted that her daughter, Andromeda, was more beautiful than the sea nymphs, an insult that reached the ears of Poseidon. In response, the god of the sea unleashed Cetus upon the coast, a serpentine beast of immense power sent to flood the land and claim a terrible sacrifice. This was not random chaos, but a calculated act of divine justice, where the ocean itself became the weapon of an angered deity. The royal family, desperate to save their kingdom, made a heartbreaking decision. They chained the innocent princess Andromeda to a rock by the shore, leaving her to appease the monster's hunger. This moment transforms Cetus from a simple beast into a symbol of a difficult truth, that the actions of the proud can bring suffering upon the blameless, and that the sea was the arena where these cosmic debts were settled. Just as the creature rose from the waves, the hero Perseus arrived, fresh from his victory over Medusa. He did not battle the monster with a sword, but with cunning, holding aloft the Gorgon's head. The sea monster's own gaze became its end, its body turning to stone instantly, a permanent monument to the power of wisdom over brute force. This resolution carries a profound lesson. The sea's fury, once unleashed by the gods, could only be calmed by respecting its divine laws, not by challenging them directly. Today, we can still look up and see this story written in the stars. The constellation Cetus swims through the night sky, a celestial reminder of a time when myth and navigation were intertwined, and every glittering point of light held a story about the powerful forces that watched over the waters below. Long before gods ruled from mountains or seas, there was only a single, swirling essence of potential. In the ancient Babylonian creation epic, the Enuma Elish, this was the realm of Tiamat, the primordial mother of the saltwater sea. She was not merely a goddess who lived in the water, she was the ocean itself, a vast serpentine dragon whose body was the substance of the chaotic, unformed abyss. Alongside her consort Apsu, who represented the sweet, fresh waters, she gave birth to the first generations of gods, becoming the literal source of all that would follow. Her story is one of the oldest recorded narratives of creation and conflict, a foundational myth that explores the painful transition from primordial chaos to an ordered world. This necessary shift did not come peacefully. The younger gods, vibrant and loud, disturbed the quiet of the primordial age, leading Apsu to plot their destruction. In a tragic turn, one of these young gods, learned of the plan and struck first, ending Apsu. This act of defense spiraled into a cosmic war when Tiamat, in a fury of grief and rage, created an army of monstrous serpents and dragons to avenge her lost mate. She was no longer just the creative mother, she had become the destructive force of chaos unleashed, a guardian defending the old, wild order against the new. The younger gods, terrified, turned to the champion Marduk, who agreed to confront Tiamat on the condition he be granted supreme authority. Their battle was the climax of creation itself. Marduk, armed with powerful winds and a net, rode into the face of the colossal dragon. He forced the winds into her mouth, swelling her body so she could not close it, and then drove an arrow into her heart, ending her life. But her story did not end there, it truly began. In an act of profound transformation, Marduk did not discard her body, he used it. He split her carcass into two parts, lifting one high to form the vault of the heavens and placing the other below to form the earth. Her weeping eyes became the sources of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. Her tail may have become the Milky Way. Tiamat, the first guardian of the deep, was sacrificed so the world could be built. Her legacy is a powerful duality. She symbolizes the untamable, chaotic sea that can erase all things, but also the essential, creative source from which all life and order eventually springs. She reminds us that the deepest waters are not just a place of danger, but the very source of all beginnings. Where the Kraken and Cetus were forces of nature or divine messengers, the Umibōzu of Japan introduces a chilling new kind of terror. This guardian emerges not from the abyss but from the human soul. Picture a sudden, unnatural calm falling over the sea, the water turning as dark and slick as ink. From this stillness, a colossal, pitch-black figure rises, its smooth, featureless head gleaming like a monstrous, shaved scalp. This is the Umibōzu, the sea monk, a being whose humanoid form makes its appearance all the more unsettling. It does not look like a beast, it looks like a corrupted spiritual figure, a perversion of something meant to offer peace. Its very presence twists the familiar into a source of primal fear. The encounter often follows a grim ritual. The creature will demand a barrel from the terrified sailors, a request that seems almost reasonable until its true purpose is revealed. A crew that hastily offers a bucket or a small cask will only enrage it, leading to the immediate destruction of their vessel. But those who provide the exact barrel it asks for face an even more cruel fate, for the Umibōzu will then use the vessel to scoop up vast quantities of seawater, flooding the ship and drowning every soul on board. This is not a hunt for food, it is a deliberate execution, a punishment for a transgression the sailors may not even understand. This legend is deeply rooted in the spiritual landscape of Japan, where Buddhist beliefs intertwined with ancient nature worship. The Umibōzu is widely thought to be the vengeful ghost of a priest who drowned at sea, his spiritual authority and sacred vows twisted by a violent death into a perpetual, raging grudge against the living. He becomes a guardian that enforces a specific moral law, where the ocean is not just a physical realm but a spiritual one. To sail upon it is to enter his temple, and any disrespect, any failure in ritual or purity, can summon his terrible form. Unlike the world-ending power of Jörmungandr, the Umibōzu's lesson is intimate and personal. It teaches that the sea's dangers are not always impersonal. They can be the direct consequence of spiritual imbalance. Its human-like shape forces a horrifying recognition, reflecting our own capacity for darkness back at us from the waves. This guardian reminds us that some of the deepest terrors are not alien, but are born from our own stories, our own sorrows, and our own broken vows. A narrow passage of water presents the most terrible choice a sailor could face. On one side, a sheer cliff face hides a cavern, and within it waits Scylla. She is no ordinary beast. From her grotesque body sprout 6 long, serpentine necks, each ending in a head filled with rows of dagger-like teeth. She is a whirlwind of hunger, her heads constantly striking, snatching sailors from the deck of any ship that ventures too close. Her story holds a tragic core, for she was not born a monster. Ancient poets say she was once a beautiful nymph, transformed by the magic of a jealous rival into this horrific form, a permanent prisoner of the rocky cave she now haunts. Her existence is a lesson in the sea's cruel whimsy, where beauty can be twisted into perpetual nightmare, and directly across the strait, another terror churns the water. Charybdis is not a creature with teeth and claws, but a living, breathing vortex. 3 times each day she inhales, drawing vast quantities of the sea into her depths and creating a whirlpool capable of dragging an entire vessel down to the seabed. After this, she exhales, spewing the water back out in a turbulent, boiling surge. She is the sea's own hungry mouth, a personified force of nature whose rhythm dictates life and death. This is the impossible decision framed by Homer in the Odyssey. To avoid the gaping maw of Charybdis, a captain must steer close to Scylla's cliff, knowingly sacrificing 6 members of his crew to her snapping jaws. To flee the monster, he must risk his entire ship and every soul aboard being consumed by the whirlpool. There is no safe path, only a calculation of loss. Odysseus himself faced this grim dilemma, and his choice to pass by Scylla remains one of the most haunting moments in epic literature, a stark admission that leadership on the sea sometimes requires accepting a terrible, smaller tragedy to avert a total catastrophe. The legacy of these twin perils has flowed far beyond ancient mythology. Their names have entered our very language as the ultimate metaphor for a dilemma, for being caught between two equally disastrous options. They teach us that the ocean's dangers are not always solitary. Sometimes they work in concert, using the unforgiving geometry of coastlines and currents to create a trap with no exit. Scylla and Charybdis represent a profound understanding that the sea's power is often concentrated in specific, legendary locations, turning a simple strait into a place of eternal, story-soaked danger. Their song was said to be the most beautiful sound a sailor could hear, a melody woven from every secret wish and deepest longing. The sirens of Greek myth did not guard the sea with teeth or storms, but with an irresistible psychological lure. Often depicted as creatures with the body of a bird and the head of a woman, or later as mermaid-like figures, they perched on rocky islands, their voices carrying across the calm water. This was a danger that bypassed the strength of a ship's hull and the courage of its crew, attacking the very will of those who listened. Their promise was not of treasure, but of knowledge, offering to sing of all that had ever happened in the world, a temptation too powerful for any curious mind to easily resist. Yet this gift was a trap, for any ship that drew close to their island would be dashed upon the hidden rocks, the crew lost to the waves after a moment of perfect, fatal bliss. The story of Odysseus confronting them reveals the profound understanding the ancients had of human nature. He did not attempt to fight the sirens with force, knowing that would be a battle he was destined to lose. Instead, he used strategy and self-awareness. He ordered his men to seal their ears with beeswax, rendering them deaf to the enchanting song. But he, wanting to hear the legendary melody, had himself bound tightly to the ship's mast. He gave them one unbreakable command: no matter how much he begged and pleaded to be set free, they were to tighten his bonds. This brilliant solution created a safe container for temptation, allowing him to experience the sirens' power without succumbing to it. As his ship sailed past, the song filled the air, and just as predicted, Odysseus was driven mad by the desire to go to them, struggling against the ropes and ordering his crew to release him. His men, hearing nothing, only rowed harder, securing their passage and his survival. This myth is a powerful allegory for the sea's seductive and deceptive allure. The greatest perils are not always the visible monsters or the raging gales, but the quiet, internal voices that promise everything while leading us toward destruction. The sirens represent the danger of overconfidence, the belief that we are immune to temptation, that our willpower alone is enough to navigate the deepest desires of our own hearts. Their enduring presence in art and literature for thousands of years underscores a timeless truth that the most formidable guardians of the deep are often the ones that reflect our own inner weaknesses back at us. The sea's deceptions are not always malevolent. Some guardians test mortals not to destroy them, but to reveal profound truths. In the shifting currents of Greek myth, the prophet Proteus offered this very challenge. He was known as the Old Man of the Sea, a primordial being who tended the flocks of seals and held perfect knowledge of all things past, present, and future. But this wisdom was not given freely. To gain a vision from him, one had to perform an incredible feat of endurance and will. Proteus would rise from the waves at noon to rest among his seals, and this was the only moment he could be approached. Any attempt to seize him would trigger a breathtaking display of transformation. His form was as fluid as the ocean he represented, shifting from a man into a bristling lion, then a coiling serpent, a raging fire, or even a rushing torrent of water. To hold on through this terrifying metamorphosis was to prove one's worthiness. The Spartan king Menelaus, stranded on a lonely island after the Trojan War, desperately needed the prophet's guidance. Following divine advice, he and his men ambushed Proteus at his noonday rest. What followed was a struggle of pure persistence. As the ancient god became a series of terrifying shapes, the men held fast, their grips tightening through every impossible change. Only when Proteus finally returned to his original form, exhausted and impressed by their resolve, did he agree to speak. He revealed the future to Menelaus, showing him the path home and the fates of his comrades. This myth frames the ocean not as a mindless force, but as a vast repository of knowledge. Proteus embodies the sea's essential mystery, its refusal to be pinned down or easily understood. His lessons are for the clever and the determined. He teaches that the deep holds answers, but they are granted only to those who are willing to embrace uncertainty, to endure chaos without letting go, and to accept that true understanding often requires navigating a world without a single, fixed shape. The land itself remembers the journeys of its first guardian. In the ancient dream time of Aboriginal Australia, the Rainbow Serpent carved the world into being. Its colossal, serpentine body did not simply move through the landscape. It became the landscape, pushing through the soft earth to form the deep riverbeds, the wide billabongs, and the very watercourses that give life to a sun-baked continent. This was not a destructive act, but one of profound creation, a testament to a cosmology where the land and the water are inseparable parts of a single, living story. The Rainbow Serpent embodies a duality that is central to its role as a guardian. In times of drought, it is a benevolent force, its presence felt in the life-giving rains that replenish the waterways and ensure the fertility of plants, animals, and people. Its connection to the rainbow is not merely decorative, it is a visible sign of its power to bridge the sky and the earth, to bring the promise of water and renewal. Yet this creative power carries a solemn responsibility. The serpent is the ultimate guardian of natural law, and any violation of sacred sites, any disrespect for the balance of the ecosystem, can stir it to a righteous fury. In these moments, the same power that carved the rivers can rise up as devastating floods, a clear reminder that the forces which give life also have the authority to reclaim it. This guardian teaches a holistic view of the world, where the sea is not a separate realm but the terminus of the rivers it created, part of a vast, sacred geography. Its vibrant, shimmering form, often depicted in brilliant ochre colors, underscores a beautiful and essential truth that the most powerful forces in nature are not only fearsome but also sources of immense beauty and creativity. The Rainbow Serpent's legacy is one of deep spiritual reciprocity, a reminder that we are not masters of the land and water, but their humble and grateful custodians. Her story begins not with divinity but with a profound human betrayal. Sedna was a young woman whose father promised her in marriage to a mysterious hunter, a stranger who promised a life of plenty. But this promise was a lie. The hunter was not a man, but a seabird in disguise who carried her away to a desolate island of rock and cold. When her father came to visit and saw her suffering, he was filled with remorse and killed the bird spirit, fleeing with his daughter in his boat. But the vengeance of the avian spirits was swift. They summoned a terrible storm, and the sea rose in fury around the small craft. In a moment of pure, desperate terror, Sedna's father made an unthinkable choice. To save himself from the raging waves, he cast his own daughter overboard. As she clung to the gunwale, her frozen fingers gripping the wooden edge, he took his hatchet and chopped, sending her sinking into the black, icy depths. Her severed fingers, falling through the water, transformed into the first seals, whales, and walruses. Her body descended to the ocean floor, where she became the powerful and sorrowful goddess, Adlivan, ruler of the sea and all the life within it. This tragic origin frames the Arctic Sea not as a mere resource, but as a being born from sacrifice and broken trust. Sedna's guardianship is deeply conditional. From her home at the bottom of the world, she controls the availability of the marine animals that are essential for survival in the far north. When her people, the Inuit, break taboos, when they act with greed or disrespect toward the animals or the environment, Sedna's anger is felt. She withdraws the game, causing seals and fish to vanish, and the people face hunger. Her long, tangled hair, matted with the sins of humanity, becomes a barrier that traps the sea creatures, preventing them from rising to the hunters. In these times of crisis, the community turns to its shaman. The Angakok must undertake a perilous spiritual journey, descending through the layers of the ocean to reach Sedna's abode. There, the shaman must calm the goddess, combing the tangles from her hair, soothing her sorrow, and listening to her grievances. Only through this act of ritual care and attention, this acknowledgement of the broken bond, can balance be restored and the life-giving animals return. Sedna's myth is one of the world's most powerful articulations of environmental reciprocity. She is the ultimate guardian of a delicate ecosystem, teaching that the sea is a provider and a judge. Survival is not a right, but a privilege earned through respect, memory, and ethical conduct. Her enduring presence in Inuit spirituality underscores a timeless truth that the deepest waters hold not just life, but also the memory of how we choose to live. The Caribbean sun paints the water a brilliant, translucent blue, hiding its deepest secrets in plain sight. Beneath this inviting surface, the ocean floor suddenly gives way to the blue holes, vast underwater sinkholes that plunge into absolute darkness. These are not just geological formations, they are the domain of the Lusca. This legendary guardian is described as a monstrous hybrid, part octopus and part shark, a creature whose very form speaks to the unknown genetic possibilities of the abyss. It waits in the labyrinthine tunnels of its cave network, a sentinel for the specific dangers of this tropical seascape. The Lusca's presence is most often felt rather than seen, a violent surge of water as it rises from the depths, capable of generating whirlpools strong enough to pull a small boat beneath the waves in an instant. For local fishermen, a sudden, inexplicable churn in an otherwise calm area is not a random current, it is the Lusca drawing breath. This legend serves as a powerful folk explanation for the very real and tragic disappearances that can occur in these waters, giving a name to the unseen forces that operate where human sight fails. The creature perfectly embodies the dual nature of the Caribbean, where breathtaking beauty exists just a breath away from sudden, incomprehensible peril. Its myth encourages a necessary respect for these unique marine environments, teaching that the most inviting waters can hold the oldest and most territorial of guardians. The Lusca is a reminder that some parts of the map remain blank not because they are empty, but because they are already occupied. But even the deepest ocean is not separate from the cosmos above. In the rich mythology of the Philippines, the Bakunawa reveals a sea guardian whose influence stretches from the abyss to the night sky. This massive, dragon-like serpent was believed to be the cause of lunar eclipses, its immense body rising from the sea to swallow the moon whole. The darkness that fell over the world was not a simple astronomical event, but a moment of cosmic terror, a battle between light and a beast from the deep. The Bakunawa's own story holds a poignant lesson about transformation. It was not always a monster, but began its existence as a beautiful sea goddess. Its downfall was arrogance, a pride so great that it reached for the heavens themselves, an act that led to its curse and its monstrous form. This narrative arc transforms the creature from a mere predator into a tragic figure, a being forever punished for its ambition, its hunger for the celestial bodies a perpetual reminder of its past transgression. This connection between the ocean and the heavens required a community-wide response. When the moon began to disappear, people would rush from their homes, creating a tremendous cacophony. They banged pots and pans, shouted, and played loud music, all to startle the great serpent into releasing its celestial prize. This collective action was more than superstition. It was a ritual of solidarity, a way for an entire village to participate in restoring cosmic order. The myth of the Bakunawa beautifully illustrates how ancient cultures saw the sea and the sky as parts of a single, breathing entity. An eclipse was not an isolated phenomenon in space, but a direct interaction with a guardian from the watery depths below. This sea serpent teaches us that the ocean's reach is limitless, its oldest myths woven into the very fabric of the night sky, reminding us that the forces governing the tides may also dance with the moon. The shimmering city of Finfolk was said to lie just beneath the waves, a realm of crystal towers and golden sands invisible to the human eye. This was the home of the Finfolk, shape-shifting sorcerers from the misty legends of the Orkney Islands. Unlike the chaotic monsters of the deep, the Finfolk represented a different kind of peril, one of sophisticated enchantment and societal rules. They possessed the ability to walk among humans in handsome, compelling forms, or to slip into the sea as sleek, dark-eyed seals. Their interest in the surface world was specific and unsettling. They sought out the most skilled and beautiful individuals to abduct, bringing them down to Finfolk to serve as spouses or bound servants for all eternity. This was not a random attack, but a calculated acquisition, a reminder that the sea could desire the best of what humanity had to offer. The danger they posed was a seductive one, a quiet disappearance from a lonely shore rather than a violent death in a storm. Their legends are filled with tales of cunning and negotiation, where a clever human might outwit a Finman by demanding an impossible task, like making a rope from sand to secure their freedom. This complex relationship frames the ocean as a parallel civilization, a world with its own laws and hierarchies that occasionally intersects with our own, often with life-altering consequences. The Finfolk remind us that the sea's deepest mysteries may not be mindless forces, but intelligent societies whose motives and desires remain beautifully, terrifyingly alien. Their enduring stories challenge the very line between reality and enchantment, suggesting that the rolling fog over the northern waters might just be a curtain, and that behind it another world is watching. Sometimes the ocean offers a reflection so strange it stops us in our tracks. During the 16th century, sailors and scholars along the Baltic coast reported capturing a creature that defied all known categories of life. They called it the sea bishop. This being was described as a fish with the distinct appearance of a high-ranking church official, complete with a head shaped like a bishop's mitre and skin marked with patterns resembling ecclesiastical vestments. Its behavior was even more astonishing, for when brought onto land, the captured creature was said to make gestures with its fins that looked eerily like it was bestowing a blessing upon the waters it had left behind. This was not a monster of rage or hunger, but a silent, clerical figure from the deep, an omen that blurred the sacred and the scientific. The legend of the sea bishop is a powerful example of a common human tendency, the instinct to see familiar shapes and meanings in the natural world, a phenomenon known as pareidolia. We see a face in the moon or a dragon in the clouds, and for Renaissance thinkers, the vast and unknown ocean became a canvas for their own deepest symbols. In an age where religious faith framed every exploration, the discovery of a creature that mirrored their own spiritual hierarchy felt like a divine confirmation, a sign that God's order extended even into the most alien depths. The creature was rarely seen as a threat, instead it was a marvel, a living relic that seemed to sanctify the sea itself. What animal might have inspired such a specific and enduring myth? Many historians suggest the sightings could have been based on rare encounters with actual marine life, perhaps a species of anglerfish with an unusual head shape, or even a type of squid whose skin patterns and tentacle movements were interpreted through a lens of devout belief. The true identity of the animal matters less than the story it spawned, a story that reveals how our myths are shaped by the culture that tells them. The sea bishop did not patrol the waters with teeth or storms, but with symbolism. It became a guardian of meaning, a creature that helped a deeply religious society reconcile the mystery of the ocean with their understanding of a structured cosmos. Its brief, recorded appearances remind us that the guardians we imagine are often mirrors, showing us not the secrets of the sea, but the contours of our own searching minds. Some guardians did not attack with storm or tooth, but with the most dangerous weapon of all, a perfect illusion. Medieval maps and bestiaries speak of the Aspidochelone, a beast of such impossible scale that its barnacle-encrusted shell could breach the surface like a chain of barren, rocky isles. Exhausted sailors spotting this landmass after weeks of empty horizon would feel a surge of relief steering their ship toward the promise of solid ground. They would drop anchor into what they thought was sand, build cooking fires on what they believed was stone, and celebrate their deliverance. This was the moment the deception became fatal. The heat from the flames would seep into the creature's hide, and the island would shudder to life. With a sudden, cataclysmic dive, the Aspidochelone would plunge into the abyss, the anchor line snapping tight and dragging the ship and every soul aboard into a crushing, airless descent. This guardian did not hunt, it simply existed, and its sheer, passive presence was a death sentence for those who misread the sea's quietest lies. The legend almost certainly grew from rare but real encounters with the ocean's gentle giants. A migrating leatherback turtle, the largest of its kind, or the vast, filter-feeding bulk of a basking shark, seen from a distance through sun-strained eyes and the lens of profound isolation, could easily transform in the telling into a living landmass. These stories were then codified in illuminated bestiaries, where the Aspidochelone was presented as a divine lesson on the perils of complacency. Its myth served as a crucial navigational principle for the age of exploration, a constant reminder that the sea's most tranquil face could be a mask for a hungry truth. The creature embodies the timeless warning that the greatest dangers are not always the visible storms, but the calm that lulls us into forgetting where we truly stand. Deep within the Amazon, the concept of a sea guardian shifts from the vast ocean to the winding, mysterious waterways of the rainforest. Here, the rivers are not just routes of travel, they are liquid roads to another world, ruled by the Yakuruna. These are not monsters of the deep, but an entire underwater civilization, a society of beings who mirror humanity in a strangely inverted way. They are described as having their feet on backward and their heads reversed, a physical distortion that perfectly symbolizes their existence in a realm where all the normal rules are turned upside down. Their cities are said to lie just beneath the river's surface, magnificent and invisible, built with crystal architecture that shimmers with a light unseen by human eyes. This is a reminder that guardianship is not exclusive to the saltwater abyss, but extends to every flowing stream and flooded forest, connecting the might of the ocean to the pulse of inland waters. The Yakuruna are powerful intermediaries, holding sway over the elements that dictate life and death in the jungle. A shaman seeking knowledge might be granted visions of powerful healing plants by a Yakuruna, or taught songs to call the rain in a time of drought. Yet this same being could just as easily summon a sudden, violent storm or bring a mysterious illness upon a village that had broken a taboo. Their power reflects the dual nature of the Amazon itself, a place of immense generosity and sudden, unforgiving hardship. To encounter a Yakuruna is to stand at the threshold between the world we know and the spirit world that lies just beneath the water's surface. Their enduring myth teaches a profound ecological truth that every body of water, from the smallest creek to the greatest river, is a sacred space with its own protectors. The guardians of the deep are not confined to the ocean. They are wherever water flows, watching over the essential, life-giving element that connects all living things. The cold, grey waters of the North Atlantic held a terror as vast as the sea itself, Scottish Gaelic lore speaks of the Siren Croin, a name that translates to the Great Grey One, and this serpentine Leviathan was a master of the deep. Its legendary appetite was a measure of its impossible scale, for it was said to consume 7 whales in a single, fearsome meal. This was not a creature that hunted for survival, but a force of nature whose very existence defined the upper limit of what the ocean could contain. For the coastal communities of the Highlands and Islands, this guardian embodied the specific, gnawing fear of the North Atlantic, a realm of cold, rough seas where the line between a good catch and a fatal encounter was perilously thin. The stories of the Siren Croin were not merely told to frighten children, they were vital cultural tools. In a world where life depended on the sea's bounty and its volatile moods, the legend enforced a necessary respect, a constant reminder that venturing out in a small boat meant entering a domain ruled by ancient, hungering powers. Yet these tales were never just about fear. A profound theme in Celtic folklore is the triumph of cleverness and courage over sheer, overwhelming size. The legends of the Siren Croin often follow this pattern, where local heroes do not confront the beast with brute strength, but with strategy and wit. They might use trickery to lure it into a trap, or exploit a hidden weakness that turns its own immense power against it. These narratives gave people a sense of agency, a belief that even the greatest terror could be overcome with enough intelligence and resolve. The enduring presence of the Great Grey One in oral tradition served as a lesson in both humility and hope, teaching that while the sea demands respect, it also rewards bravery and sharp thinking. Its shadow in the waves was a permanent part of the seascape, a mythical guardian that kept the memory of past hardships and hard-won victories alive for every new generation of sailors. While many guardians enforce fear, the Hai Ho-Shang offers a helping hand. This Chinese guardian, whose name literally means sea and river monk, presents a radically different relationship between humanity and the deep. He is depicted as a cheerful, portly figure with a gleaming bald head, a countenance of pure benevolence rather than menace. His power lies not in a trident or a whirlpool, but in a magical staff, which he uses to pacify raging waves and guide vessels safely through treacherous passages. This was a guardian who listened to the prayers of fishermen caught in a sudden squall, a divine protector who valued safe passage over punishment. His very existence reflects a core philosophical principle found in both Buddhism and Taoism, that the goal is not to conquer nature, but to find harmony within its vast, unpredictable systems. The ocean, in this view, is not an adversary to be defeated, but a profound teacher and a path to spiritual awakening. The legends of the Hai Ho-Shang are often intertwined with tales of virtue, where he appears to aid those who have shown compassion, humility, or respect for the natural world. A sailor who shares his last ration with a fellow traveler, or a fishing village that avoids overharvesting, might find themselves blessed by the monk's miraculous intervention. This stands in stark contrast to the vengeful ghosts and demanding monsters of other traditions. Here, the sea does not merely punish transgression, it actively rewards ethical conduct. The Hai Ho-Shang embodies the idea that the greatest strength is not the power to destroy, but the wisdom to protect. His enduring presence in Chinese folklore serves as a beautiful counterpoint, a reminder that the relationship between sailor and sea can be one of mutual respect, where the deep waters offer not only peril, but also a guiding light toward a safer shore. Even in our modern age of satellites and sonar, the sea keeps its secrets close. Off the rugged coast of Cornwall, a creature from an older world is said to patrol the waters, a being known as the Morgawr. This is not a legend passed down from medieval manuscripts, but a living myth born in the 20th century from dozens of eyewitness accounts. Descriptions are remarkably consistent, a long, serpentine neck rising from the water, trailing a series of dark, humped backs, a silhouette that irresistibly calls to mind a prehistoric plesiosaur. This sea giant is not a ghost or a god, but a cryptid, a creature of flesh and blood that science has yet to officially acknowledge. Its interactions with humanity are strangely pragmatic, often involving attacks on fishing gear, where it tears nets and steals catches before vanishing back into the deep, evading every attempt at capture or clear photography. The Morgawr has become a local celebrity, a guardian whose legend is bolstered by blurry photographs and earnest testimony, drawing tourists and cryptozoologists to the region in hopes of a glimpse. What does it mean that such a being can emerge in an era of global information? The Morgawr represents the stubborn endurance of mystery. It proves that the human need for sea guardians did not vanish with the age of sail, it simply evolved. Here, folklore blends seamlessly with the modern pursuit of cryptozoology, a field that dares to ask what might still be waiting in the unexplored darkness. This Cornish creature is a powerful symbol, a reminder that our maps are not yet complete, and that the ocean's deepest waters may still hold living relics capable of inspiring a whole new chapter of guardian tales. Its form was a nightmare stitched together from land and sea. The Nuckelavee of Orkney legend is a grotesque fusion, a creature whose upper body is a monstrous, decaying man fused at the waist to the back of a powerful, skinless horse. This entire abomination is devoid of skin, its raw, black muscles and yellow veins exposed to the salt air, and its most terrifying feature is not a tooth or a claw, but its breath. A single exhalation from the Nuckelavee could blight entire fields, withering crops and sicken livestock with a mysterious plague, bringing famine to a coastal community from the shore inward. This guardian is unique in its relentless reach, for it is not bound by the coastline. It wades from the frigid North Sea onto the land, a living embodiment of the ocean's power to invade and corrupt the world we consider safe. Its very existence taught a brutal lesson that a disaster at sea could ripple inward, that a storm which spared the boats could still poison the fields. The myth provided a face for inexplicable hardships, for when a community faced a sudden outbreak of illness in its animals or the failure of its harvest with no clear cause, the story of the Nuckelavee gave shape to that formless fear. It was a narrative that connected two worlds, reinforcing the fragile interdependence of the coastal life. The sea's wrath was not something you left at the docks. It was a force that could, at any moment, climb onto the beach and walk into your village. This creature's enduring horror lies in that simple, terrifying truth that the deepest dangers are not always those that stay in the deep. Yet even the sprawling ocean is fed by countless smaller waters, and their guardians can be just as territorial. In the misty lakes and deep ponds of Wales, a different kind of sentinel waits. The Lamhigian ydwr, or water leaper, is a creature of bizarre and unsettling anatomy, a frog-like body equipped with leathery bat wings and a complete absence of legs. It does not swim so much as propel itself, skimming across the water's surface in sudden, powerful jumps. This was not a guardian of cosmic balance, but a very local and immediate predator. Its targets were those who came too close to the still, dark water's edge: an unsuspecting sheep, a child fetching water, a lone fisherman in a small coracle. The attack was as swift as it was brutal, a splash and a leap, and then a violent pull into the suffocating depths below. The legend served as a vital, practical warning for rural communities, teaching a necessary fear of deceptively calm inland waters. These pools and lakes were often believed to be connected to the sea through vast, hidden underground rivers, making them not separate entities but direct extensions of the ocean's domain. The water leaper was the local enforcer of the sea's law, a reminder that its authority did not end at the coastline. Its defining ability to leap symbolizes the very essence of a water-related accident, the way tragedy can strike from a placid surface without any warning whatsoever. One moment there is quiet reflection, the next, a violent disruption and a life is gone. This small, vicious guardian expands our understanding of the deep, showing that every pond has its own abyss, and every stretch of water, no matter how small, can hold a legend waiting in the quiet. But even the most personal terrors can have a long reach. From the foggy marshes and weedy ponds of northern England, the Grindylow enforces a simple, brutal rule for the young. This creature is small in stature, a far cry from the world-spanning serpents of the deep, with slick green skin and unnervingly long, bony fingers designed for one grim purpose. It waits just beneath the surface of stagnant water, a patient hunter in a deceptively calm pool, and its sole intent is to grab any child who ventures too close to the edge and drag them down into the murky depths. This guardian's malevolence is not cosmic or symbolic. It is intimate and direct, a deeply personal threat aimed at the most vulnerable. The legend served as the foundation of water safety for generations, a story told by parents to instill a necessary, healthy fear of local waterways. It translated the abstract danger of drowning into a tangible, memorable face, teaching children to see not just water, but the specific, grasping hand that might lie within it. The Grindylow's chosen habitat reveals a fascinating adaptation of the sea guardian archetype. The same narrative function performed by Leviathan in the open ocean is scaled down for a pond or a marsh, proving that the need for these protective, cautionary figures exists everywhere water collects. This sprite does not answer to a grand deity or influence the tides. Its domain is the forgotten corner of a farmer's field, and its power is measured in a single, tragic outcome. Its persistent place in regional folklore shows how myths are not monolithic, but are carefully tailored to address the particular dangers and values of a community. The Grindylow is a guardian born from the immediate, everyday anxieties of village life, a stark reminder that the deepest waters are not always the most distant, and that some of the most effective legends are the ones whispered closest to home. While the Nuckelavee brought a blight from the sea, another Orcadian spirit offers its gentle counterbalance. The Sea Mither, whose name means sea mother, is a guardian of profound duality. She does not battle monsters or ships, but a force as immense as the ocean itself, the storm giant known as Terran. Their conflict is not one of good versus evil, but an eternal, necessary dance that defines the very rhythm of the year. Each spring, the Sea Mither engages in a monumental struggle, wresting control of the waters from the fierce Terran, who rules the winter months with his gales and tempests. Her victory ushers in the summer calm, a time of gentle swells and clear waters that allow for safe passage and bountiful fishing. She is the personification of the ocean's nurturing side, a mother who ensures her children can harvest the sea's generosity. This myth frames the marine world as a living, breathing system with its own intrinsic needs, a cycle where periods of turmoil are essential for the renewal that follows. The Sea Mither's story provides a powerful cultural lens for understanding environmental change, transforming the unpredictable shift from stormy winters to peaceful summers into a narrative of cosmic balance. She teaches that the sea's fury is not a permanent state, but a seasonal phase that gives meaning to the calm. Her enduring presence in folklore offers a perspective of hope and reciprocity, reminding coastal communities that after every long and difficult winter, the mother of the sea will always return to still the waves and fill the nets once more. Their challenge arrives not with a roar but with a rhyme. In the churning strait known as the Minch, a tempestuous passage separating the Scottish Isles from the mainland, the ocean's final judgment is delivered in verse. Here the blue men rise from the foam, their skin the color of a drowned sky, their forms a haunting mockery of human shape. They do not summon waves with a trident, but with a shouted couplet, a poetic gauntlet thrown down to any captain daring to cross their domain. The survival of the entire vessel hinges on a duel of wits where the captain must instantly compose a perfect, rhyming retort. A swift and clever answer forces the blue men to retreat beneath the waves, their power broken by the superior verse. But a moment's hesitation, a clumsy line, or a failed rhyme gives them all the permission they need to unleash the full fury of the sea, calling a storm that will shatter the ship and drag it into the deep. This guardian transforms a physical ordeal into a cultural one, a test where the most vital skill is a mastery of language and tradition. The legend perfectly encapsulates the Celtic world, where poetry was not mere entertainment, but a respected form of power, a way to record history, cast spells, and navigate complex social codes. To face the blue men was to prove your worth not as a warrior, but as a bard, to demonstrate that your mind was as agile as your ship was seaworthy. Their enduring myth celebrates a profound truth, that in the face of life's greatest challenges, our most potent weapon is often our voice, our quick thinking, and the cultural knowledge passed down through generations. The blue men of the Minch complete our journey, reminding us that the sea's guardians are as diverse as human culture itself, and that the deepest waters test not just our strength but our very spirit. These ancient guardians have not faded into obscurity, they have simply migrated into our modern myths. The colossal Kraken that rises from the depths in blockbuster films is a direct descendant of the beast that haunted Norwegian sailors, its immense tentacles now a spectacle of cinematic wonder. Similarly, the name Leviathan is invoked in games and stories to describe creatures of ultimate power, carrying the biblical beast's legacy of untamable chaos into new virtual worlds. These are not mere repetitions but reinventions. Contemporary storytellers often imbue these figures with fresh significance, casting them as symbols of nature's retaliation against human arrogance, or as the final bosses in humanity's quest to explore the unknown. They have evolved from explanations for storms into avatars for our current anxieties, especially our growing concern for the marine environments we have so profoundly impacted. This cultural repurposing shows that our relationship with the ocean, while now mapped by satellites, remains rooted in a sense of awe and mystery. The same impulse that leads cryptozoologists to search for the Morgawr in the Cornish waves is the one that drives marine biologists to the Midnight Zone, hoping to document a real-life giant squid. Both pursuits are fueled by the belief that the deep still holds magnificent secrets. The enduring presence of these figures, from the silver screen to scientific hypotheses, proves that our need to give the ocean a face is undiminished. They are the bridge between our ancestral past and our exploratory future, a constant reminder that the sea is the planet's final vast wilderness, a realm where the line between a discovered species and a legendary guardian is wonderfully, and perhaps permanently, blurred. Our voyage through the legends of 25 sea guardians reveals a profound truth about our own history. Each culture, from the sun-drenched Mediterranean to the icy Arctic, looked upon the same vast ocean and saw a different face staring back, a guardian shaped by their environment, their fears, and their deepest beliefs. These stories were far more than simple fairy tales. They were the first maps of the human psyche, charting our relationship with the unknown. They gave us a language to speak with the storm, a way to plead with the waves, and a set of rules to navigate a world that was both provider and destroyer. The sea's immense power was given a name, a form, and a story, transforming a force of nature into a being we could attempt to understand, appease, or even outwit. This personification allowed our ancestors to encode critical survival knowledge within unforgettable narratives, teaching which waters to avoid, which seasons to respect, and how to live in a fragile balance with the deep. The Leviathan taught us the awe of chaos, the Sirens the peril of our own desires, and Sedna the sacred bond of environmental reciprocity. These myths served as the moral compass for entire civilizations, a constant reminder that human ambition is a small vessel on a very old sea. Now, as we face our own modern challenges with climate change and the continued exploration of the marine abyss, these ancient stories feel more relevant than ever. They remind us that our connection to the ocean is not just scientific or economic, but deeply spiritual and imaginative. The same sense of wonder that gave rise to the Rainbow Serpent and the Bakunawa now drives our submersibles into the midnight zone, proving that the human need to find meaning in the deep is a constant across the ages. We invite you to reflect on this journey. Which of these 25 legendary guardians resonated most deeply with you? Was it the tragic sorrow of Sedna, the cosmic scale of Jörmungandr, or the clever challenge of the Blue Men? Share your thoughts in the comments, as every perspective adds another voice to this ancient, ongoing conversation. Thank you for joining this deep dive into the world's greatest mysteries and for keeping these timeless stories alive.